anyone waiting to dial in. And today's workshop is going to be recorded, so you should have a pop-up saying that this session is now being recorded. Just while we're waiting for anyone else to join us, if you'd like to introduce yourself in the chat, please feel free to go ahead and do that. You could mention where you're from, where you're dialing in from, and what your job title is. It's really nice to see a couple of familiar faces here with us today. So welcome. It's really nice to see you if we've already met, and if we haven't met, then it's really nice to meet you, albeit online. Okay, we've got some people introducing themselves in the chat. I'll just stop sharing my screen so we can have a bit more of an introduction. So do feel free to keep introducing yourself in the chat. Meanwhile, I'll introduce myself. My name's Catherine. I'm from the Royal Society of Chemistry, and I'm the professional registration specialist here, which means I manage applications for registered science technician and registered scientist for the RSC. But I'm also responsible for our support of the technician commitment, which you may well be familiar with. I can see some nods. This afternoon we are going to be looking at career pathways for technicians. We're a nice small group, so it'll be really great to get your input as we go through this afternoon's hour-long session. I'm going to be sharing a presentation and the slides will be available for you afterwards. I'm going to reference quite a few websites, including the RSC and externally, so don't worry too much about trying to write lots of notes or open those web pages as I talk about them. Once you've got the slides, they will be hyperlinked so you can navigate to those web pages really easily. Although I work for the Royal Society of Chemistry, my background is in forensic science, so I wouldn't necessarily have called myself a chemist before I started at the RSC. And before I joined the RSC, I was a forensic science technician at a university. So it's really nice to be in a room with technicians from university again. Don't worry too much if your camera or microphones aren't working. You're very welcome to use the chat as we go through today's session, and I will be keeping an eye on it. So if you have any questions or if you'd like me to clarify anything as I go through today's presentation, just let me know and I will pick them up as they come into the chat. Otherwise, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you could stay muted just while I'm doing the main bulk of the presentation, just to minimise any background noise, that'd be great. But I'm sure you're all very familiar with Teams meetings by now. Okay. We've got some people joining us from Glasgow, the University of Glasgow and Strathclyde. And I think we have a mixture of scientific disciplines today. So although I'm speaking from the context of the Royal Society of Chemistry, the things that I'm going to talk about are not chemistry specific. So hopefully you will be able to learn about information that is relevant to you regardless of your scientific background. So thank you very much for sharing and introducing yourselves in the chat. I do appreciate it, and it's really great to see where you're dialing in from. I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation and get started with this afternoon's content. So that should be popping up on your slide on your screen now. As I mentioned, these slides will be shared after today's session, so feel free to read about that content in your own time after this afternoon. Being from the Royal Society of Chemistry, I'll just provide a little bit of background if you're not very familiar with us. We are the professional body for the chemical sciences, and we say chemical sciences as opposed to chemistry because we recognise that that umbrella of chemistry is really broad, and people working in any aspect of chemistry might have quite a lot of overlap with other areas. So, for example, we have members of our community who work in pure chemistry, but then we also have biochemists, chemical engineers, forensic scientists like me, lots of pharmaceutical members. And we also have patent lawyers and historians as part of our membership because they use that chemistry knowledge as part of their role in a different sector. And our mission is to help the chemical science community make the world a better place. And actually, a lot of scientists do go into your particular area of practice with that specific aim to help make the world a better place, be that through chemistry or another scientific discipline. We were established in 1841, so we've been around for quite a long time. We are the world's oldest chemical society, and we became the RSC as we are today in 1980. As a professional body, we offer resources, support, and connections for anyone who works with any aspect of chemistry. And we are a global community. We have over 60,000 members all around the world in that wide range of disciplines related to chemistry. But of course, today is not just a talk about chemistry. There are lots of other professional bodies, for example, the Royal Society of Biology and the Institute of Physics, and we're all there to support you as scientists and technicians in your chosen area of practice. The Royal Society of Chemistry and other professional bodies are involved in work across lots of different areas. So we're involved in things like professional registration and technician support, but we also have involvement in things like publishing through journals, magazines, books. We all have really strong membership communities. So as I mentioned, we have over 60,000 members, which is a really great networking opportunity for those members of our community. We work quite heavily in education to really support the next generation of scientists coming through the pipeline. We're involved in policy through things like voice and influence. And we're also involved in supporting the government in advising them on where they could focus their efforts within our scientific discipline. We do lots of work through inclusion and diversity and also sustainability. And that's the definition of sustainability in an environmental perspective, but also sustainability of chemical scientists and technical skills to support that future pipeline of scientists. Professional bodies will often publish strategies which guide their work over the next few years, and technical staff are featured throughout the RSC's current strategy, from their important part in advancing the chemical sciences as part of the global community, providing better support for technicians, and through education. So, increasing awareness of vocational and technical routes into careers using chemistry, which I think is where sustainability crosses over to ensure that there is that continued expertise and knowledge being passed on to that next generation. As I mentioned, I'm responsible for our support of the technician commitment, and your university may well be a signatory of the technician commitment already. The technician commitment was established in 2017 and they turned 8 last week, so they had their 8-year anniversary last Friday. The technician commitment is a cross-sector initiative, and there are 4 key pillars of work associated with the technician commitment. So we have visibility, recognition, sustainability, and career development. As a supporter of the technician commitment, we have published an action plan which details our support for technicians within our community under these 4 key pillars of work. So from the RSC's perspective, within visibility, we have a number of awards which support nominations by technicians for technicians, including individuals and teams. And we also have a range of networks and interest groups to support the visibility of technicians within a particular field or a particular region, and to provide those networking opportunities within subjects or within an area that you're interested in finding out more about. Under recognition, the Royal Society of Chemistry and other professional bodies are licensed for Science Council designations, including Registered Science Technician and Registered Scientist, which are a great opportunity for public and professional recognition of your specialised skills and experience, and the really important role that technicians play within all disciplines of science. Around sustainability, this includes initiatives to raise the profile of technical careers for young people and also support the continued technical knowledge and expertise within the community. So we support technicians through sustainability by providing guidance, resources to get the most out of your role through things like mentoring. And under career development, we offer funding and grants for people within the within RSC membership, including technicians. There's lots more information on any of these pillars of the technician commitment on the Royal Society of Chemistry's website, but I've also popped my email address on that slide there, technicians@rsc.org. And all of the activities offered by the Royal Society of Chemistry and other professional bodies can support the knowledge and skills development to facilitate technician pathways, which is what we're here to talk about this afternoon. Firstly, I wanted to look at the current landscape for technicians, and then we'll look at some specific suggestions of methods for technician career progression. So as I mentioned, the technician commitment has been around for 8 years now, and that would be an awful lot of history to include in this presentation. So I just wanted to pull out the fact that since the establishment of the technician commitment in 2017, we have seen a huge increase in awareness of technicians and an increase in schemes and initiatives to support technicians within their roles. It was particularly apparent during the pandemic, the involvement of technicians in things like developing vaccines. So that helped with public awareness and recognition of the role of technicians. And there are wider sector visibility initiatives. So, for example, if you've been to the Science Museum in the last 3 years, I think, they have opened a gallery specifically highlighting the really valuable role of technicians across all different sectors, so not just in science. This includes wind turbine technicians, welding technicians, health and pharmacy technicians, as well as areas outside of STEM like film, TV and theatre. I do really highly recommend having a look round the Technicians Gallery at the Science Museum. It's on the first floor above the Turbine Hall, and it is a huge gallery. So it's really great to see the Science Museum recognising technicians through this dedicated gallery. Technicians have also been recognised through public awards. So, for example, the Royal Society Hawksby Award has recognised technicians for the past 2 years. So last year, a technician was recognised as the winner of the Hawksby Award from Tonbridge School. And in 2023, the technicians who contributed those stories and experiences to that Science Museum gallery were recognised in the 2023 Hawksby Award. And I've just included them there. So all of these technicians were recognised through that Royal Society Hawksby Award in 2023. It's an award that's awarded for outstanding achievements in science to an individual or team whose work is mostly behind the scenes or in support, which includes technicians, of course, and other contributors who might not normally be recognised. So even outside of institutions and research areas and industry, technicians are being recognised by these bodies who are really firmly established within the UK and internationally, like the Royal Society. So with all of this increased awareness, it's a good time to pursue a technical career due to this increased awareness and support and progression mechanisms, some of which I'm going to discuss in more detail. So the first area where there's a method that could be used for technician career progression is through training. For the Royal Society of Chemistry, we have a database of approved training courses. These are training courses that we have assessed independently and verified as being really high quality and really good value for money. These training courses can be used to upskill an individual technician to support their progression and professional and career development. And RSE members can also access discounts on these approved training courses. There's also things like shadowing senior colleagues or those in different departments and secondments. And I've heard from technicians that secondments can be hugely valuable, either secondments that are publicised within your institution or actually actively going out and seeking opportunities in different departments or different areas of the organisation that you have identified might support you in your development, both your skills and your career development, and then raising that and creating that opportunity for yourself as a secondment. This could be in an area that you are already familiar with, or there are examples of technicians going on secondments within green chemistry or environmental sustainability areas, if that is an interest of yours. There are also external schemes for technicians in universities and research institutes. So I've just pulled out a handful here, like the Vivian Thomas Technical Leadership Programme, the Herschel Programme for Women in Technical Leadership, the Executive Programme in Strategic Technical Leadership, and the YES scheme, which is for entrepreneurs, including technicians who want to learn more about entrepreneurship. These external schemes have been supported by organisations associated with the technician commitment. So they're open to technicians in universities or research institutes, but just by the names of these programs, you can see how closely linked they are with career progression into those leadership positions, into supporting women into leadership positions, and learning more about strategic technical leadership. There are also methods of career progression through external development frameworks. So what I mean by this is things like membership of a professional body or professional registration. I mentioned that part of my role is to support people in becoming a registered science technician or registered scientist, and this is an example of a development framework that can be used to support your progression. And these awards are also transferable. I'm going to start with membership of professional bodies. This is a diagram of the RSC's membership structure and pathways, but of course other professional bodies will have similar categories and similar progression structures. We have a number of different categories of RSC membership, and which category you start off at depends on your background and experience. We have categories for people who maybe don't have a background in chemistry or have, say, a degree in something other than chemistry, but find themselves using chemistry within their daily role. And as you progress in your career and take on more experience and build on your knowledge of chemical science, or if you progress to achieve a degree in chemistry, you can then progress to the professional categories of membership, which would be associate, member, and fellow. These categories come with post-nominal letters, so that provides a professional recognition and shows your employer or maybe future employers your commitment to your professional body. And those post-nominal letters can be used in your email signature, LinkedIn, on your CV to support your progression. And as you move through the RSE membership categories, they come with enhanced benefits, which can then be used to support your career progression. You might also see those bubbles associated with some of the RSE membership categories. So RSci Tech, which stands for Registered Science Technician, RSci or Registered Scientist, and Chartered status through things like Chartered Scientist, or professional bodies often have their own chartership, like Chartered Chemist or CChem for the RSC. And the reason I'm highlighting those bubbles, particularly that registered scientist one, is because this is an external framework which is managed by the Science Council, and registered scientist can be used as a membership pathway to progress to those professional membership categories within the RSC. So that's two external development frameworks that are really closely linked to support you in getting that enhanced career benefits through membership and professional registration. In fact, there is a suggestion that gaining professional registration like registered science technician, registered scientist, chartered chemist can support your career progression. So I've got a screenshot there from the Indeed website's career guide, which suggests gaining a relevant award like Registered Science Technician can support technicians within their field to progress. And from my own perspective, from my personal experience, when I was a technician in university, I was supported to gain Registered Science Technician, and that came with a promotion. Now, I appreciate that might not be the case in every institution. But actually, within my role currently, I am seeing an increase in awareness from employers of the value of registered science technician and registered scientist. So there might be value in gaining one of these awards sooner rather than later, so that as that awareness and recognition increases, you're already in a really great position to utilize that designation. Also, there is evidence to suggest achieving something like Chartered Chemist can have a direct impact on your salary. The Royal Society of Chemistry has been running a survey for our members called the Pay and Rewards Survey for over 100 years, which reports on what chemists earn. In our last salary, which was about 2 years ago now, we have taken the average or the median salary for people working in chemistry, but you may be able to see the difference between early career chemists and chemists who hold chartered chemist. There is a considerable difference there, suggesting that that recognition through something like chartership can directly impact your salary and therefore your progression. So this just demonstrates how professional awards can go hand in hand with a higher level job or a higher paying job. I'm not going to focus too much on professional registration, but I just want to kind of highlight some of those points that I've already mentioned. This development framework, because it's a framework, there are awards appropriate for any career stage, from apprentices all the way through to really experienced scientists. And these awards are not chemistry specific. They're open to anyone working in any area of science. These awards demonstrate your competence to the people you work with, so your employers, your customers, your colleagues, because you're gaining recognition for what you're already doing and that really valuable role that you as a technician bring to your discipline. There is an element of mentoring built in, so you're not going through this process on your own. You will work with a supporter or your line manager on this application and with the Science Council or your professional body. And we hear from people who go through this registration process that actually just completing an application can result in a career, in a confidence boost. So actually just looking back on all of those skills that you have been developing can really increase your confidence, which then can impact your career progression in a positive way. And of course, these awards come with post-nominal letters. So those letters after your name, maybe RSci Tech, RSci, CSci, CChem, can also support your career progression by providing that public and professional recognition. Just to give a bit of an indication of which award might be best for your particular career stage, we've got a chief technician, a lab technician, lots of different levels of technician here with us today, and all of those will be represented within a particular professional designation. So whichever award you start with is a really valued and valid achievement to really celebrate your skills and expertise that you've built up so far. And because these are a development framework, there is a clear link in progression across these awards to recognise your increase in responsibility and autonomy and specialist knowledge. So these awards can recognise your career progression and really allow you to showcase all of those range of skills that you're able to utilize. And it's not just your scientific knowledge that these awards recognize, it's your transferable skills as well. So being able to manage projects or manage people, your communication and your team working skills are all recognized within these awards. And that demonstrates to your employer and maybe future employers that you have all of those skills that they would expect from a technician at your position. Moving on to another area of technician career progression is to use existing technician job structures as a template for your organisation. So some universities have reviewed the job structures, families and progression routes for technical staff through their technician commitment activities. And I've just pulled out a couple of examples. So this one is from the University of Liverpool, demonstrating how technical roles might move across technical specialisms, management and research support. And these institutions are recognising that if you want to progress in your career, that doesn't necessarily have to mean you must go into management. They're recognising that technicians are really valued across different job grades that might not be associated with management, but being able to support those technicians within their specialism and moving into that specialist grade is still really valuable for those staff. And this is quite representative of how varied a technician's role can be. You'll, as you will be more than aware of, you'll be involved in all different aspects of the running of the lab, of your immediate workplace. So using a structure like this really recognises that varied role. The second example I've got is from the University of Warwick. This example works to create a pathway for technical staff that doesn't necessarily pursue management. However, this kind of structure creates an alternative route where you don't need to move into management necessarily, since it might not be of interest if what you value about your job is really that hands-on practical aspect. Both of these examples are from universities who implemented these job structures a couple of years ago now, so they really are quite established within their universities, and more universities are implementing this kind of progression structure, even if it's not in place in your institution at the moment. These published structures might give you a bit of an idea to pass on maybe to decision makers within your institution. The UK Institute for Technical Skills and Strategy, who were established nearly 2 years ago now, they have created a working group and the Technical Careers Pathways Lab to support the development of career frameworks for technical staff. So there is external support for institutions to implement these kinds of structures within their institution, both higher education and research institutions. This working group and this Careers Pathway Lab is still pretty new, so do keep an eye on the UK ITSS website for updates on this Career Pathways Lab. Looking at a slightly different technician career progression route now, which is looking at apprenticeships. Apprentices have a number of misconceptions associated with them, and I certainly have learnt an awful lot about apprenticeships over the past few years. Things like I thought apprenticeships were only for school leavers, or maybe for sectors outside of STEM, for really quite hands-on manual labour type industries. However, there are a huge number of apprenticeships, and they can be completed part-time in a range of subject areas. And apprenticeships are not just for school leavers or people up to the age of 21, but actually apprenticeships can be used to upskill existing staff, including technicians. There are lots of degree level apprenticeships available, and apprenticeships go up to master's level. So you can achieve a master's degree through an apprenticeship, such as becoming a research scientist or a senior leader in healthcare or management. More information on apprenticeships is available on the RSC's website and government websites. It's a really big subject around apprenticeships, essentially, but the key point I want to highlight today is that they can be used to encourage new staff and to support and upskill existing staff, particularly technicians, because of that vocational element to an apprenticeship. Our website, A Future in Chemistry, is for people considering next steps, be it school leavers or people still at school, or people considering their options for further education, like university degrees or apprenticeships, or just thinking about alternative jobs within the chemical sciences. There's information about the differences across the nations, so that includes Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. And we also run accreditation for apprenticeship training providers, just like we do for companies and university degrees. I want to note at this point that for all of the methods of progression that I've highlighted, there is some level of input or effort required in each case, either by the individual seeking out those opportunities for themselves, or from a management perspective to work towards implementing progression structures or supporting their technicians in their development. But as technicians, being able to self-advocate and take the initiative can create those progression opportunities. You yourself might notice a gap in your organization's remit or offering, and raising awareness of that may then generate an opportunity for you to take the lead in or maybe be involved in a new project to address it. Even if some of the things that I've mentioned aren't already in place in your company or haven't been pursued before in your organization, there's no reason why you can't make that suggestion yourself. While undertaking training or taking part in any of these activities provides that opportunity to develop those specific skills, actually just proposing or working towards something can come with its own benefits. As an example that I've already mentioned, the fact that we hear from people who've achieved registered scientist, registered science technician status, who have gone through that application process, have seen that confidence boost as a result, which can then set them up to pursue other opportunities or take the initiative and advocate for yourself and for the rest of the technical community. And having that self-reflection through any of these progression routes or through professional registration can allow you to understand what you have to offer in terms of transferable skills, which can be really valuable in your current position and in your career progression moving forwards. And technicians really do have those skills that employers are looking for. And I'm sure all of the ones that I've pulled out on this slide will resonate with you to some extent or another. So spending some time identifying your skills and your strengths can be really valuable to work on that kind of self-reflection, to know what skills you enjoy using, to figure out what types of work suits you or helps you to see yourself in a different role or strengthens your job applications. I've got some kind of questions that you can start thinking about in your personal or your professional life, to do that exercise of identifying your transferable skills, because these skills are yours. They are what you have built up. They're not necessarily associated with any professional qualifications you have, or which university you went to, or where you happen to be employed. So, having a think about these questions, like what you do well, what kinds of problems you enjoy working on, what really challenges you in a good way, what problems do people know that you can help with? Are you aware of all of the skills that you actually have? Have you acknowledged that huge range of personal and professional skills that you utilize on a daily basis? And what can you do to help you understand your complete skill set and any gaps that you might have? So, those are just some suggested questions to start you on that self-reflective thinking. And I've got some general good advice for making choices based on your professional development, thinking about the options that are available to you, both those that I have addressed today and any other pathways or directions that might be open to you. You can run a bit of an audit, or maybe don't call it an audit since that's quite corporate, to have a think about your transferable and technical skills. Because, of course, although I've talked about transferable skills a lot, you do have those really high level technical skills that you're able to apply in a huge range of different settings and to solve problems on a daily basis. Have a think about what you want out of your career. It's all very well me talking to you today about career progression routes, but actually, where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve out of your career? And what are your values? And create your own career criteria. What kind of setting allows you to thrive best? What kind of team structure do you work best in? And actually being able to identify what doesn't work for you is equally as valuable. Having a think about the bigger picture. So, what do you need to gain or develop further to get where you want to go? And don't feel you have to do any of this on your own. Do reach out to your network, to your colleagues, maybe people you used to work with, careers advisors, professional bodies like the Royal Society of Chemistry, and being part of a mentoring scheme can be really valuable. This might be in place in your institution, or you might have an opportunity to join a mentoring scheme externally. For example, I think the UK ITSS runs a mentoring scheme, and that's also something that your professional body can support with, like the Royal Society of Chemistry. Mentors can act as really valuable independent listening boards, essentially, to offer that impartial, non-judgmental advice on anything relating to your career progression. For example, the mentors that are enrolled in the RSC's mentoring scheme might be from a completely different area of chemical science to what you happen to work in. They could have had a completely different route to where they got to. So being able to widen your network and have those professional conversations with people who've maybe gone down a completely different route to you can be really useful to give you ideas to think about within your own role and perspective. I've mentioned how professional bodies can support throughout all of those different career progression methods. Membership of a professional body has a huge range of benefits. And your membership to a professional body is then yours. It's not associated with your employer. If you happen to move institutions, your professional body can provide that consistency of support. As I mentioned, professional bodies have a number of different categories of membership. It's not just the Royal Society of Chemistry, and where you start off, so which category is best for you, will be based on your background and area of expertise. There are a huge range of benefits associated with professional body membership, regardless of which professional body is best for you. That includes things like discounts on training courses, but also discounts on lifestyle products, shops, phones, cinema tickets, insurance, a huge range of areas to support you in your professional life and your life outside of work. Support to apply for a professional award, so those professional registration designations that I mentioned. Magazines, so the RSC's flagship magazine is Chemistry World, which is published monthly to allow you to keep up to date with the latest news and research and innovations within chemistry, but other professional bodies have very similar magazine and publishing subscriptions. Careers support, so as I mentioned, that independent opportunity to talk to a careers specialist. The Royal Society of Chemistry is actually one of the only professional bodies in the world that has our own in-house careers team. And I work very closely with them. They're really knowledgeable and really friendly and approachable. Member run groups, so that opportunity to network with people who work in a similar area, other technicians, either in your local area or elsewhere in the world, to have that peer-to-peer support in your day-to-day role or in an area that you'd like to learn more about. Newsletters with the latest updates to make sure being kept up to date with the latest in your area. And I've talked about that mentoring opportunity, both the opportunity to act as a mentor and to be mentored yourself, and to keep track of your continued professional development, which is really valuable throughout your career to be able to identify what development you've done recently, identify gaps in your professional development, and that might be required as part of your current job role or to demonstrate to future employers your commitment to continue professional development. We do offer reduced membership costs. For example, we offer 50% off for anyone earning less than £31,000 a year, or we have discounts for anyone, for example, undertaking postgraduate education or on a career break. And we offer bulk discounts for a group of technicians or a group of staff members applying for membership from one employer. I've mentioned just some of the benefits of RSE membership in particular. I won't dwell on these for too long, but if there's anything that you spot on this slide or throughout this presentation that you think you'd like more information on, then I'm happy to take questions. Or if you're a member of another professional body and you're wondering if your professional body offers similar support, then that's a question that you can take to them. Either have a look on their website or drop them an email and say, I saw this presentation from the RSC, do you do something similar? It's all about getting the support that is best for you, regardless of your scientific discipline. And I just wanted to highlight that career support again from our careers team. I don't expect you to read this full list, but this just demonstrates the huge range of subjects that a careers advisor could offer support on, from applying for jobs, developing your job application and your CV, developing in your role, all the way through to mental health and careers to make sure that you are supporting your mental well-being as you go about your day-to-day role. Thinking about where to go for support, I've got my email address on that slide there, technicians@rsc.org. If you would like to chat about anything that I have mentioned this afternoon, if you'd like to take it off this call, just drop me an email and I'm happy to chat through anything relating to any of the activities that I've mentioned or the Royal Society of Chemistry more widely. So I'm very happy to take any questions at this point. You can either pop them in the chat or feel free to come off mute and we can have a discussion about anything that I've mentioned today. But I also want to say at this point, thank you very much for coming along this Tuesday afternoon. Do we have any questions? Okay. As I mentioned, you will get a copy of these slides. So if you think of anything after today's session, you've got my email address to get in touch. Or is there anything that I haven't covered? Or do you have any tips on career progression that I should include in my presentation?
Can't think of anything. But you on the calls, some of my technicians are on the call as well. Josh, he came up from an apprenticeship. Went to university, then did an apprenticeship, and he's now one of our senior technicians. So that's a success story right there. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Christine. Okay,
Thanks very much. That was really interesting.
thank you. I'll let you have your Tuesday afternoon back if there aren't any questions. But again, thank you for dialing in this afternoon, and thank you to SLS for organising this webinar. I'd love to hear from you in future if there's anything that you want to chat about afterwards. Thank you to Alicia for setting up this meeting, and I'll let you get back to your day.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.